What's up? Mark Henninger from Stereophile here at AXPONA 2025, and I'm here with Sheldon Jin. We are looking at a very impressive system. It's got McIntosh, it's got
Blue Sound icon.
All right, and of course we've got the hyphen from Monitor Audio. So yeah, take us through the system and tell us what the purpose of the gear that you selected and how it works together, and what you're basically trying to show.
All right, thanks, Mark. So, you know, what we've got here is a system that features our flagship Monitor Audio hyphen loudspeakers. These are $95,000 a pair. Big departure from what we're used to in Monitor Audio in terms of pricing.
Right.
There is some trickle-down technology when we go from hyphen into platinum. But, you know, for the purposes of being here at the show, we wanted to show our flagships. They're the debut here at AXPONA for hyphen. We're working in conjunction with Saturday Audio as well. So a byproduct of that is having McIntosh here.
Right.
That's a big line for them, and it's what they wanted to showcase with monitors. So we've got a McIntosh C55, we've got their 1.2 kilowatt monoblocks. We're using the Blue Sound icon, their brand new streamer, and we're using a Nagra, I believe it's a 5000. So the system has a combined retail of about $135,000. Not inexpensive, but not real expensive either in the world of high-end audio.
Versus, yeah, some of the things you see here.
Right.
And so that's a lot of power for each speaker. And can they take it? Can they use it?
They like power. They don't need 1.2 kilowatts. It's one of those go big or go home type of scenarios, I think.
Sure. And so, generally speaking, what has been the impression of the listeners here? I've listened to these speakers before, but not in this space.
Yeah. You know what? It's an interesting listen. You listen to hyphen, they're unlike most other loudspeakers in the price range. There's something really different about them. It's hard to explain, but if you've heard them, the mid-range is super organic, it's super natural, it's open, it's detailed. They'll play loud, but they're not aggressive. They're easy to listen to. They really help you, or they lead one to listen into the stage.
So coherence and low distortion is what I found.
100%.
Yeah, it keeps the ear fatigue away, and
100%.
And it makes it so that loud doesn't sound loud. It just sounds exciting.
You reach for the volume to go this way as opposed to that way.
Surely, surely. And as far as, I mean, it's obviously I would like you to explain just to the audience a little bit the actual approach, why you're looking at two towers, the dual opposed force canceling, and how that basically contributes to that low distortion.
Well, it's an interesting question because just prior to Monitor's 50th anniversary, the team were tasked with come up with something special, right? We want something special for our 50th, and they were basically given a blank check to say, go create something that's really unique.
Okay.
That's going to be something unlike anything we've seen before, maybe anything that Monitor's ever done before. And so when you look at these loudspeakers, you'll see dual chassis. They're 235 pounds each.
Right.
And the name hyphen basically represents a technical term that I wasn't familiar with before, and that is basically two vertical structures supported by a horizontal structure. That is the hyphen.
Is it right?
That is it. So we've got two hyphens effectively. We've got two independent structures. Within each of these structures, we've got four 8-inch bass drivers. And those bass drivers operate in a force-canceling fashion, so they oppose one another. Every traditional loudspeaker we see has them all front firing. These go towards one another. And what happens is you mitigate a lot of the bass anomalies, a lot of the distortion that may be present as a result of the bass frequencies and what's being driven.
Sure.
So we talked about a smoothness through the mid-band, a nice transition from upper bass into the mid-range. A lot of that is a byproduct of how they've created these things. So, and the other thing I wanted to mention, Mark, was that when we look at the M array, this is what they refer to as their mid-range. It's called the M array. And within this, you've got 6 2-inch mid-band drivers flanking an MPD tweeter. And so with that, you create a giant point source. So 6 small mid-range drivers creating effectively a bigger drive unit, but they're independent of one another. And those drivers are using the same composite materials that are used in the bass driver. So that transition we speak about from upper bass into mid-range is seamless using the same driver tech.
Right. No, and you see that because it actually brings the dual opposed drivers, which you usually see on the outside, but on the inside, it brings them closer to this array, right? So what you're really doing is you're bringing the spatial relationship of the drivers
together.
Together as much as possible.
For sure, 100%.
And that this is this is really the way to achieve it, because you have to have that space here for the drivers to fire in.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Even though, and that's the thing, when you really think about this speaker, it's logical.
Right.
And so the other thing I'm curious is, they said, hey, blank check, but you wound up with that number, which again, not outrageous at this show, but it's just the number it landed at. In other words, there was no notion that it should be under 6 figures, or was it?
So
was there a target?
that's a better question for the factory to find out what they were thinking about. I'm not sure if they wanted to keep it around 100. I don't know.
Okay.
That's
but-
where it kind of landed, and
Right. So in effect, though, it is whatever it needs to be.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to mention. These things vent out through the bottom,
Okay.
and then with these are made from a combination of acrylic and stone.
Okay.
Right, and so the acrylic layer allows them to polish it a little bit better, shape it a bit better, and then what houses the mid-range chassis is a cast aluminum chassis. So different sonic signatures. You don't want to have the same signature supporting both the mid-band and the bass drivers. So you separate them, you isolate them, and then you're less likely to have the same resonant frequency.
Yeah, some
compound.
collective resonance. Instead, you got it broken up into smaller,
Exactly.
less affecting parts. That's really cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I appreciate that rundown. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it.
you're welcome.